All right, we are back for another episode of Around the Hobby. I called today Fresh Blood with the familiar shark because we got three new guys that I don't know very well, and my buddy Vito's back for another time. So I'm really excited to get to know you guys, who you are, what you collect, why you're here, what's your hobby dreams and stuff. So Charlie, you were the first one actually to jump on earlier when I sent the email out. So we'll go ahead and start the first question with you. So for tonight, the first question is going to be untimed, just whatever you want. Then after that, 30 to 40 seconds per question. And then I'm going to hit that mute button. It's going to be hilarious. And you're like, oh, no, what are you doing? And it's going to be a good time. But for this first segment, as much time as you want, tell us, Charlie, who you are, why you're here, what you collect, how you got started in collecting. The floor is yours. Go ahead, man.
Gotcha. So yeah, my name's Charlie Farr. I actually just recently graduated college back in December, and had an internship canceled over this past summer, which kind of sparked my interest back into the hobby. I came from the sneaker industry. I used to be the bad word, a flipper. I used to be a huge sneaker flipper, and at first that's why I got into cards, because I realized there was some money to be made. And I mean, since then it's just evolved to, I can barely sell. I don't sell much at all. Anything I get, I just rip now, pretty much, with how hard it is. And I'm a huge Cleveland sports fan. Collect Indians, Browns, Cavs, not so much. But yeah, I longtime sports fan of all, huge golf fan. And yeah, the one thing I would like to promote during this segment is, if anyone is local in Ohio, the Canton Collector Show on April 17th. It's a first show. I think there's 10 states accounted for right now, so it's going to be trying to bring in some bigger money into the Cleveland sports card area, and it should be a good time.
Absolutely, I remember what Ferg was on a couple weeks ago. He was talking about that show. I'm definitely going to try to make it up there. I know I've got April 17th off work. I'm in Columbus, like an hour and a half away, so I'm all good. Vito, you're on the top of the screen. I know you've been here before, but tell us why you're back, man. Go ahead. The floor's all yours.
Well, I always love joining you, Chris. I feel like I'm his Regis Philbin to David Letterman, right? When Letterman needed to fill a seat, he called Regis because he lived pretty close. So I told Chris I would do that. But just like every other person my age, got into the hobby as a child in the mid to late 70s through the 80s. And then just like the rest of us, got caught up in the junk wax era and jumped out of it. And then, life gets in the way, college, family, children, marriage, house. And then it wasn't until probably 2014 when my daughter, who's now 18 and in college, was just kind of looking in the closet and saw some shoe boxes that I had of cards. And, I always would look every once in a while, but really wasn't too interested in getting back into it. And it was then when she said, hey, let's, do you want to go to one of those shows? So we went to a show, and I ended up, and I told the story last time, I bought a Trout PSA 10 rookie for $175. And I said, do not tell your mother that I just spent $175 on a card. And from then we were just back into it. So, now I have a wholesale account. So I try to get product at wholesale when I can. Chris knows my struggles there. I sell on Twitter, I sell on eBay, and I sell on the Discord community hobby shop now. So I'm pretty active in breaks with Midwest and obviously with the Cardboard Connection that Chris helps run on Twitter.
Awesome, man. That's great. You said the $175 card. Like, I remember just when a $175 card was a lot, and now, you can't get a hobby box for under what the Prism basketball went for 20 or $2,000 today for the first off the line on the Panini. Crazy. So $175 still seems like so much, but it's almost like every card you have is going for that.
Yeah.
Drew, you're next up, man. Tell us who you are, why you're here, and tell me something about those sneakers behind you too.
Awesome. Yeah, Chris, thanks for having me on. It's a great way to get to meet people, expand the reach in the hobby. I really appreciate it. I got back in the hobby like 4 or 5 years ago. Two of my closest friends were also just in your adult phase when you have a little bit of money and you're like, what am I going to do? And for us, it was, there's a card show up in Westchester, which is a suburb of just north of New York City. And we drove up. buying boxes of Prism NBA for $175 for hobby, thinking we were spending way too much money. But it just lit that fire that you had when you were a kid, that when you were a kid and you can't get those boxes or there's a little bit too much money. Now it wasn't like that. We were adults with adult money, and we got back into it. Luckily at the right time, because I know cheaper prices and I understand how to be able to get product. I didn't have to chase it as much, because say I got in now, I wouldn't be as involved. Killing myself to find retail and stuff like that would be real difficult. But we went to the card show, and it sparked an interest that rekindled thoughts from my childhood, and I've been doing it ever since. You'll see me. I sell a lot of hobby boxes on Twitter. But most of the time I'm just there interacting, being an idiot, trying to have fun. The camaraderie in the community, there's nothing like it. You meet some really great people. Similar to Charlie, I wasn't as much of a flipper, but I did collect sneakers. That's the wife's little stack. That's my stack. And I've almost turned my sneaker purchasing into cards now. You know, like we have a 2-month-old, and it's how many more sneakers am I going to need? And also because I have a 2-month-old, I can't buy many things. So now I'm just concentrating on cards, and it's been a blast. You know, you hit a big Zion or you hit a big card, whatever it may be, and it really hooks you. And for the last 4 or 5 years, it's been a great experience. I'm glad to meet everybody.
Yeah, and I can tell you from experience with 2 young kids, just wait till your kids, if they like them. You know, I've got all these people looking out for 2019 Jesse Winker Chromes for my daughter and 2020 Cooper Cups for my son. And it's just awesome. Like you talked about the hobby and the camaraderie. And then the shoes, like my daughter and I have a pair of Jordan 3 Chlorophylls that are matching. And she loves, hey, Daddy, we got to wear our matching J's today. So, man, there's a lot.
It's funny you mentioned that. That's how you and I originally communicated. You posted something about your kids, and I sent a few free cards, some Cooper Cups and some Jesse Winkers that I had. Especially as a Mets fan, we want to get rid of Jesse Winker. Anything, we give him a hell of a hard time. He gives us a hard time. He's a fun guy to have come visit the Citi Field. But I had some extra cards, and I sent them out to you. And that's when I was calling myself the Panini Poppy, like an idiot. And
okay,
you sent back a quick little thank you, and ever since, man, I've been following, and I've been watching the show. It's great.
Awesome. Well, we had Ronnie from Primetime Sports on. He was having a little technical issues, so we'll move on to question 2. And if he jumps back on, we'll welcome him back, and maybe if not, we'll get him back on next week. But I hate to see the injury in the hobby. You know, you saw Joe Burrow go down, and now LaMelo Ball goes down. In respect to pricing of cards, as far as injuries go, like LaMelo gets hurt and his prices plummet. We saw the same with Joe Burrow. Are you scooping these guys up as their cards are dipping? Are you worried about the injury bug coming back to get them? And, you know, like an Andrew Luck kind of situation? Vito, we'll go ahead and start with you this time.
For me, it really depends on the sport, the type of injury, the age of the athlete, you know, what part of their career they're in. That makes a big difference, I think, for me, right? If someone who's at the back end of their career is hurt, and it's something a little bit more threatening to their career, I may jump in if they've had a long career. But like with LaMelo, I don't collect a lot of basketball or football really. Neither Burrow or LaMelo am I in on now because of the injury, even though prices came down. I think I'm just cautious that they may not be able to come back. If they do come back, which I hope they do, maybe I'll be able to pick it up. But yeah, I just think that it depends on the sport and the type of injury, right? Like Durant went down, but Durant already had a Hall of Fame career. So if he dipped, he'd be worth picking up.
You make some great points there. Charlie, what are your thoughts? With different injuries, I see Wes in the comments saying Tatis got hurt today. I don't know anything about that. I didn't hear about it till I just read right now. Are you going to pick some people up if they get injured, or are you going to go ahead and pass on them?
For me, a lot of it is a lot of what Vito touched on. Age and type of injury is huge for me. Personally, Burrow, I mean, I think he's got many years to come. So personally, I have been stacking up on some Burrows. LaMelo, for me, I mean, the prices are just so overinflated right now anyways that I really haven't been picking them up yet. unless I hit it at retail. So it just depends on the injury. Yeah, like if the prices get to a level where I see potential growth in a card, and a guy like LaMelo with all that potential and hype behind him, of course I'll pick him up.
Yeah, see, I'm not much of a investment hobby guy, more of a collector hobby guy. But it's not to say I didn't pick up a bunch of Soto and Acuna Jr. just to sell them next year, because hey, money's money. Or if I got a bunch of basketball retail here, I don't really collect basketball either. But they say if anybody sees a full shelf, you're gonna clear it. Like I'll take 3 or 4 boxes. I'll open one. I got a Sunday show with my daughter. We open a box every week. But also I like getting cards out to my buddies and stuff like that. So, with LaMelo, like you said, the prices are inflated, but I'm more of a collector than an investor. So that's my style. What do you think, Drew? Are you going to buy the dips on these injuries?
Like Charlie said, it's a year or two ago, I probably would have, even if it's just grabbing 5 or 6 rookies to turn for an extra $10 or $15, $20 a rookie in 6 to 8 months. But right now it's tough. Like Burrow, I did because like Charlie, I do see a long future for him. And listen, the problem is I watched a few of his games where I saw a few throws where I was like, wow. And that's the worst thing you can do is watch somebody's games, be impressed with them, buy a bunch of cards and like, oh, now I'm stuck. But I did buy a bunch of Burrow. LaMelo, though, this is the first year, and I mean, we're all seeing it. The basketball is really prohibitive price-wise. So the NBA hoops rookies of his starting off at 170 or 200. I know they're at like 30 or 40 now. That's still high to me for a base card. And even with the Donruss, normally I would have, especially LaMelo, somebody who's got a big name and a big following. But when the price points are so high, I don't feel like I'm getting a deal. And a lot of what I get is I get things mainly because I like them or I want to collect them. So if I'm stuck with a bunch of Joe Burrows, that's fine because I like the player. But if LaMelo, say I did get that, I wouldn't get many, if any, because I don't like the player. Like I'm not into LaMelo. Like I'm not saying he's not good, but I'd much quicker buy Emmanuel Quickly from New York, somebody that I could have some sort of, and like Quickly, there's a little bit of value on still, because he's not LaMelo. But while yeses was always the answer, now it's really case by case who it is, what's happening.
You make some excellent points. Everybody did. And you know what I forgot to do again, because I always do, is the 30-second time limit. So I'm going to start everybody on a timer, and I'm going to start muting you, Drew. So shut up, Drew.
I'll get quick on that.
To say that. I'm just kidding. But, Charlie, we'll start off with you this time. A lot of stuff in 2021's already dropped. We kind of know what products are coming, not really thinking there's going to be anything new or exciting or crazy. But what product release of 2021 that is not dropped yet are you looking forward to the most? You got 30 seconds. Go.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of a landslide, actually. Upper Deck's bringing back golf cards this year, which I think is going to be awesome. I'm a huge golfer, going on a golf trip tomorrow with some of my buddies. They haven't came out with a set since 2014, so it's going to be almost all of these young guys, Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth. It's going to be essentially their rookie card. So that's definitely my number one by a landslide.
Where's Garrett at when you need him? Our buddy IT guy, Garrett Frederick, all he's been talking about is the golf cards, the golf cards, the golf cards. He's so fired up about it. Drew, what are you looking forward to most for products in 2021? You got 30 seconds.
Every year it's the same answer, and it's always going to be Select. And I've heard inklings and rumors, but as long as there's no retail, Select is such a premium product. It's not overproduced. The photography is beautiful. The cards are clean. The parallels are great. The field level, the concourse, the Select is always going to be the top of the line for me, and especially as long as they don't have retail.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of people go ahead and compare Select with Prism. I honestly like Select a little bit better, but that's just my opinion. Vito, you're up, man.
So if you would ask me last week, I would have said Inception because I do really well for whatever reason with Inception. I know Che asked, but I hit a monster this week. But I'm a Chrome guy, right? Topps Chrome, and I really only deal with baseball. So Topps Chrome, Stadium Code Chrome, Allen Ginter Chrome. But I'm excited. They're coming out with a Chrome Platinum anniversary. card, a box back in the end of August. It'll be out, right? So that's going to be a big ticket item. I've already tried to place my pre-order, but we'll see what happens. But I'm a Chrome guy and mostly baseball, so that's what I look forward to every year. You muted yourself.
You're muted.
There we go. I muted myself because rookie mistakes in like my 8th show, so it's cool. But I was close to getting my first mute.
No, you weren't close. I have my own little counter here.
All right. We're gonna go ahead and go with the rapid fire buy sell. About 10 seconds each. We're gonna go in the same order. Buy or sell. We're gonna go Vito, Drew, then Charlie. So Vito, buy or sell. Other grading companies will catch up to PSA and BGS.
No, I'm selling that. I ain't buying that.
Drew.
Sell. They have millions and millions of cards graded. Beginner mistakes with HGA and how they approach things. No.
Charlie.
I'll sell, but I will say if the price increases continue to kind of go the way they are, I think they'll close the gap a little bit, but still a big sell.
All right, Vito. Tim Anderson will win the AL batting title.
Sell. DJ LeMahieu.
Drew. Tim Anderson will win the AL batting title.
I'm going to buy that. LeMahieu can't be as good as he was last year. Anderson's going to get more protection with everybody behind him in that lineup being ridiculous. Robert won't be as bad as he was last year. If the White Sox get some pitching, they're really good.
Charlie.
I will also sell. I think the order it will wind up will be Trey Turner, LeMahieu, Tim Anderson, but I think it's going to be pretty close.
All right. Someone will hit 60 home runs this year. Vito.
Sell. 55 is my tops.
And who's hitting 55?
I think Bryce Harper's doing it this year. I don't know why.
Okay.
I have a strange feeling about Harper this year.
Drew.
This is going to sound like a real homer take, but Pete Alonso could hit 60 bombs this year. I said it on Twitter the other day. He looks zoned in. Like he is spitting on pitches that are an inch off the plate. Like, ugh, get those out of my face. Alonso's going to go crazy this year with protection again.
Yeah, I like it that they added bats around him. So I think he's definitely got a chance. Charlie, what do you think?
I will say sell, but if you could guarantee me a healthy 162 games out of Stanton, I would 100% buy.
Okay, so health plays into this. That's a good thing that I hadn't thought about before. So Wes over here in the comments says Vlad Jr. So there's another one to keep your eye on.
Listen, Wes, for all of our graded cards, I hope so.
Vito, someone will win 20 games this year.
Selling again. 18 and 19, I'm thinking. That's it. And it's going to be all 5 of the Dodger starters will have 18 or 19 wins. But that's it. No more than that.
Drew, someone's going to win 20 games.
Sell. I remember like 4 or 5 years ago, Ubaldo Jimenez had like 17 wins or 16 wins at the All-Star break, finished with like 19. 20 wins is so hard. You'll see somebody hit 70 home runs before 20 wins again, I feel.
Wow.
Charlie,
so hard.
20?
I'm actually going to buy that. I think Bauer gets it done with the Dodgers this year.
Yeah, I'm going to buy it too, and I'm going to buy it with Walker Buehler instead of Trevor Bauer. I really think, Vito said, like, you both, like, is this Dodgers starting pitching staff like one of the best in history? And imagine if the Padres had Clevinger healthy, they'd be just right up there as well. So those two teams, battle back and forth. So maybe a Dodgers doesn't get it, but some of these NL Central teams are really, really bad. A guy like Luis Castillo for the Reds, if the Reds can get their bats together, he's got the stuff to get it done. Or if Bauer were still on the Reds, he's got the stuff to get it done. What is somebody on the Cubs? Kyle Hendricks, maybe. So there's a lot of wins out there from the Brewers and the Pirates to have. And we'll finish up buy and sell with Joel Embiid will win the MVP.
So if there's a hold option, I'll go hold because it's a real good possibility. But my vote would be for Julius Randle, but that'll never happen. Never happen. So I'm going to say hold.
Okay. First hold in show's history. I'll have to make that note to keep going on. Drew.
I'm going to go buy on that. As long as he stays healthy, it's his to lose. There's nobody outside of LeBron that's more important to their team than Embiid. Changing his body changed the way they play, changed him. I mean, I'm a buy on that.
And Charlie, you buying Joel?
I'm selling Joel. I think it's going to be Jokic just because I was actually listening to a podcast the other day. They said only one time has an MVP played less than 80% of the games, and that's the trajectory that Embiid's on currently. So
it's going to be the health for him. Yeah.
Yeah, I think health's a huge issue. I think it would have been LeBron had he not been out indefinitely. Embiid, if he can finally stay. And then, yeah, in the comments, our buddy Tom, he's saying Jokic as well. Because like you said, he is so important to the Nuggets. Like you were talking about, is anybody more important to their team? So we'll end the buy sell right there. And we've got a couple more questions up. We're rolling along at 21 minutes since we only got 3 guests on.
Chris, real quick, I do wanna mention one thing. It seems that everybody that really knows baseball this year is super high on Walker Buehler. Like if you talk to anybody that's smart and they mention pitchers, you're like the 4th or 5th person that said Walker Buehler's gonna have a huge year.
I had Walker Buehler last year because he's pitching around with the 2 new rookies the young guys with Gratterall and Dustin May. And then he had Kershaw, and Kershaw's, the face of the franchise. He's Clayton Kershaw. So you got Walker Buehler right behind him, who's just as good, but not getting the fanfare, not getting the attention, not getting, all the accolades that Kershaw's getting, in my opinion, just as good. But I mean, he don't have that 6-foot curveball or that high leg kicker. But yeah, I'm real high on Walker Buehler. Plus, he's got a pretty sweet name too, right?
Yeah, it's a good name.
I drafted him in fantasy baseball, so I'm hopeful too.
I've got 4 drafts coming up. I'm really excited about it. But since we were talking about the NBA there, with LaMelo out, who wins NBA Rookie of the Year? We'll start with Drew.
Coming to New York, Mr. Quickly. Manuel Quickly is a beast, a stud. The more playing time he gets, the more the country's going to know about him. This kid is going to.
Oh, finally. I'm just kidding, man. You were close to 30 seconds. I just wanted to say that.
Listen, I'm in love with Quickly. All
right, Charlie, who do you got winning NBA Rookie of the Year?
I'm going Anthony Edwards. I think obviously it would have not even been a competition if LaMelo stayed healthy, but I think with him being out indefinitely, I think Anthony Edwards he gets the showtime on ESPN, and I think he's gonna, if he keeps playing at the same level, I think he's gonna run away with it.
All right, that's my pick as well. Vito, who are you going with?
So as an ex-Knicks season ticket holder throughout the 90s, I would definitely put my money behind Quickly, but I have to say I think Anthony Edwards is going to win it. He's been on fire the last couple of games as well, and really has stepped up his game. So unfortunately for Quickly, he probably is going to place 2nd or even 3rd. I think LaMelo still gets some votes in there as well, but Quickly is a stud. I agree with Drew.
I was really hoping it was going to be James Wiseman, and this card would be worth a little bit more. I'm still going to send in a PSA. I don't know why I haven't done it. I got a stack of 144 cards over there. Vito knows my PSA situations where nothing comes back. I got 2 regulars sitting there from November. They already said regulars are through January, and they won't email me back. So come on, PSA. Mm-hmm. We talk about new grading companies. Just how about some customer service?
Yeah, really.
All right, let's get back to baseball. We'll start with Charlie this time. Who do you think's the most underrated player in Major League Baseball? I mean, would you go with a guy like Trent Grisham or Tim Anderson who are just buried on a team full of talent? Or is it guys like Jacob deGrom who's just the GOAT, but he's a Met? So I don't know who you going with.
My answer is definitely biased, but I think it's definitely Jose Ramirez. He doesn't get any of the respect I think he deserves. I mean, he's been nominated for the MVP race 3 of the last 4 years. I mean, he's just ultra consistent. And I mean, the disrespect rolls into the kind of the hobby as well. I mean, his Topps Chrome rookies are like $6 and his PSA 10 is $50. So it's just like, I mean, I think he's just super underrated and undervalued.
So the answer was not Jesse Winker? Okay, got it. So I'm just kidding. Vito, who do you got, man? Who's the most underrated player in Major League Baseball right now?
I actually think it's – and I loved your options there, right? DeGrom is definitely on that list. But I think it's Trevor Story in Colorado, right? And I think that the challenge with that, though, is playing in Colorado, and DJ went through it, right, where playing in Colorado kind of hurts you a little bit. But I would say Trevor Story, and then an oddball would be Christian Vasquez to me, the catcher for the Red Sox. Just another just underrated player that, gets his at-bats, is always in the lineup, and those are the kind of guys that you need on a lineup, especially 162 games.
Drew, who do you got?
So I wanted to say Devers, but I just think his huge numbers 2 years ago, how can you really underrate somebody like that? I'm going to be a homer again. I might as well. I'm going to say Jeff McNeil. The Mets go when he goes, and he's good. If he hits 330, the Mets will be playing the Dodgers in the championship in the NLCS this year. McNeil is the whatever that stirs the drink, the straw that stirs the drink. He's just going to get things going for them. Somebody on the top of that lineup that can get on base. I just think McNeil underrated defensively. And we know he's not great, but he gets no respect there. He's probably, I feel like, the most underrated player in baseball. And it's crazy to say that somebody in New York, even though DeGrom is a good one, because I don't know if people see him and see just how good he is. But I think McNeil is. He means more to the Mets than a lot of offensive players do.
That's awesome. I know nothing about the Mets or him really at all. I was going to say someone like Trey Turner, who's just been buried under big names his whole career, but steadily, one of the fastest guy in baseball, could be a 25 guy. And I think Charlie mentioned him earlier for the batting title, so he could get there too. So that's all I'm going to say about.
As a Mets fan, Trey Turner is very good. He does all of the little things right. He's a tough out. He's a tough out when it matters too. Turner's really good.
Awesome. So let's switch it up to the NFL now. We got the draft coming up, but for the young quarterbacks, who is in one of their first 3 seasons that has great potential to have a breakout this year? It could be, Lamar, who's already had awesome stats, or Kyler is just going to get better. Or it could be Drew Lock, who's got an awesome offense, because, that's my guy. But who do you guys got? Drew, we'll go ahead and start with you.
I love this because I get to be a homer again. I will quickly say Baker Mayfield is going to continue his ascent. I mean, he is an absolute stud. He made the 3rd-year jump. That's huge, and he made it in a big way. I think his 4th year is going to be crazy. But the quarterback is Daniel Jones. There is going to be nobody that takes a bigger step this year than Daniel Jones. Line's going to be a little bit better. The weapons are going to be there. Barkley, listen, you want to buy low. Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, Daniel Jones, but Barkley is going to be a stud. The run game got going last year. He's going to be healthy. Daniel Jones is going to take a monster step in the big 3rd year.
That's a great one that I was going to bring up at the end if no one had mentioned him, but I knew one of you New York guys was going to say it because they have loaded up on offense. So let's go ahead with you, Vito. Let's go with another New York guy.
So I'm a Cowboys fan, but I have to say Daniel Jones, right? Daniel Jones has Galladay now. He signed. The Giants signed. The offensive line is getting better. Barkley's back. I think he's the one that's going to have that breakout year. Guys further down the line, I know Darnold's coming out of his 3rd year, so he's going into his 4th. I think this is the last shot for Sam Darnold, right? This is it. If he doesn't perform, he's not going to be the quarterback of the New York Jets. And then someone who's been in the league a little longer, I'll say Derek Carr. I think I'm looking for Derek Carr to do something special. Maybe it's just my love for Las Vegas, but I really want to see Carr do something. But Daniel Jones is my choice, and I think the Giants are heading in the right direction.
I mean, it is a little dark where you're at. Are you actually Vegas Dave in reality? Because I know he's got like $10 million in Derek Carr cards.
Did you saw last week how beautiful the last time I was on, how nice the light was in Florida? See, New York is gloomy.
Now you're back in New York and you're gloomy. So Charlie, I mean, you're going with the homer pick or what, man?
Drew kind of just stole my entire thunder with his answer. Those are my 2 guys. Baker, I think, is going to take, like a huge step in the 4th year. I think they make it out of the 1st round at minimum this year. But yeah, Daniel Jones, I mean, surrounding him, I mean, if they can get some consistency in their O-line, and I mean, Galladay, John Ross, if he doesn't succeed this year, I don't know if he's going to succeed. So I think he's in a position to break out, though.
That's awesome. I mean, just the word you said, if he doesn't succeed this year, is he going to? I'm the same way with Drew Lock as a Broncos fan. I mean, look, we got Noah Fant. We're going to get Albert O back. Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, Cortland Sutton's back. Do you know Tim Patrick and one other guy are the only players to have 0 drops last year? Because I didn't know that until I saw it tweeted out last year. Melvin Gordon, an upgraded offensive line. And did you see all the defensive moves they've made? I mean, ball control and everything in the run game is huge in a Vic Fangio offense. Like Denver is basically playing, we have to catch up to Patrick Mahomes. We've got to catch the Chargers. What can we do to stop Mahomes? And Drew Lock is just loaded with weapons. So if he's not good this year, you absolutely know he's not your guy. And I know like Old Town Cards, my buddy JB was talking the same thing with Haskins last year. Well, at least now you know what you have, and you know it's not Haskins. So with Locke, I really hope Denver doesn't go draft somebody. They have a lot of other holes that they could go, like cornerback Patrick Surtain, get the linebacker from Penn State. I can't remember his name right now, but he's a huge need. But there's a lot of other QBs if you're not getting Trevor Lawrence, and they're not getting Trevor Lawrence. So you will know what you have in Drew Lock after like 4 games, barring injury, with that offense. So that's what I'm going with.
Locke looked really good a few games last year. Like the game against Atlanta, I mean, he looked unreal. Locke looks like he's got it sometimes, and then it's just with DJ. Sometimes he looks so bad, but I think Locke could have a real big year. I like Locke a lot.
All right, we're going to go with since we're rolling along here, and Ronnie had some technical difficulties, we're just going to add the extra question, which I know was Vito's big thing at the beginning of the year. He was in our hobbies in our Cardboard Connection group, and he said, hey, what are your hobby goals for 2020? And then just recently he just mentioned, because I forgot all about it, and I've actually been doing mine, and I'd like to talk a minute about that at the end, because normally I'm talking way too much this time, but I'm trying to fill in, some space here. But what were your 2020 hobby goals, if you even made any, or if not, are you going to make any? Or 2021, and what have you done to accomplish them? And I'm going to start with Vito because this was his idea for the question. So.
Yeah, so the first one, and I say this every year, but I've stuck to it, is I will not chase retail at all. I am not driving to a Target. I'm not driving to a Walmart. Now, if I could pick up stuff online and get it delivered, that's different. But otherwise, I am not making special trips to find retail. So that's one. Second is more racks, right? I just sent off something to Cards for Vets. I'm going to continue to do racks this year. I'll try to get rid of some product that is sitting around in my my house here. I definitely want to improve my website, which I've been working on. And then obviously just selling on more platforms outside of eBay. And as you know, I just started on the Discord hobby community shop. So those are my goals. But really the first one is something I always do is no retail. Just don't want to chase it.
All right, Charlie, you're up, man. Did you make goals? Are you going to make goals? Are you going to accomplish them? What's going on?
Well, my first goal was obviously just to organize the thousands of cards I have sitting around. And that one, I mean, it took way longer than I anticipated. And it's just, I mean, I'm so happy it's done. But my second one was successfully learn how to run a bot so that I don't need to go chase retail anymore. So I'm about halfway through that. Starting to see some success, but hopefully in the near future, turn things up a bit.
All right, Drew, what do you got? Did you make goals? You going to make goals? What's going on?
I guess I didn't make any coming into the year. With that said, my goal is always to expand my reach in the hobby, and whether that's selling more boxes or just meeting more people or whatever it may be. It's just to meet and to expand like who I'm talking to and who I'm speaking with. Like Vito, there's not a chance in hell I'm going to chase retail. I'm also not going to pay market for retail. I won't do that either. I'll completely drop out of the hobby before I do, but I don't want to put too much pressure on myself to do anything here. This is the fun part of my life. So I don't want to set myself up for any sort of disappointment where I wanted to get 2,000 followers and now I don't have them or anything like that. And anything I want to do, I want it to do organically. I don't want to do it through giveaways or through anything like that. So really just continue to meet good people, spread some love and get it back hopefully.
I'm really glad you said that the organically part, because I know like when I was at 1,500 followers, I was like, oh, I got to do this huge giveaway. I gave away a John Morant and a Zion, and boom, skyrocketed up. Then they all went away the next day. And I'm like, dude, this is not the way to go about it. So lesson learned. I'm at about 4,000 now. And it's just like you said, it's all about engagement, being in with the community, talking to people, and just having a good time is how you got there. I did the giveaway thing once. I'm like, this was a bad idea. Like I did not want to do this. Didn't work out how I wanted to at all. And so that's it. But my goal was I wanted to stop buying nickel and dime cards and really focus on some Cody Bellingers, because I collect the reds. I got all my slabs back there, but I did pick up his Project 70 cards. So I just wanted to show those off real quick. And when you guys talk about retail, like, I mean, I have one morning off where I have no kids and I work in the evening. So traditionally I drop my kids off at the babysitter. I drive 10 minutes to Target. I find nothing. I drive 10 minutes to Walmart. I buy a Code Red Mountain Dew, and it takes me 25 minutes out of my day. And that's every Thursday morning. And I just have fun doing it. So, I live 2 minutes away from Walmart. Like if it wasn't dark, I could probably see the lights out, and I got 2 small kids. So I'm always in there for diapers or formula. So if I'm there, yeah, I'm going to look like you guys said, but I'm never going to be the guy who's got the lawn chair sitting there waiting. Last week I walked into my my Walmart, and the guy's there at 12:30. I'm like, no vendor? He's like, no. I come back up at 2:30 on my way. Guy's still standing there. He's like, not here yet. My wife goes at like 5 o'clock. He's like, there's this weird dude in a Yankees hat and these thick glasses and the cards eye. I'm like, that dude he's been there for 6 hours. What are you doing? If that's what you want to do, or if that's maybe how you make your money and put bills, food on your table, like whatever. I'm not going to hate on anybody for what they do in the hobby, because I want to enjoy what I do and I want you to enjoy what you do, but that's just not for me, like you guys said. So I love it.
I went into Target tonight, grabbed baby stuff, didn't even look at the card section. I mean, it's just been a year of disappointment. So like I just don't want to set myself up for to be pissed off. Oh, there's no cards here again. But yeah, I walked out without even looking at the card section. Didn't even go near it.
See, I dig Heritage. I'm one of very few people who do, and I really like the 2021 set. So I got a feeling there's going to be some Heritage on shelves.
Beautiful. The 2021 Heritage is gorgeous.
Yeah, because there was a lot of Top Series 1 out there. You can still find that. And, I've gotten more luck on Walmart.com and Target.com. Just when it's sold out, click the little notify me when it's back in stock. The email comes up, order 3 blasters, 3 megas, whatever. Like today I got 3 Donruss megas. Not the greatest product, but I got a 5-year-old kid who loves parallels. It's going to be awesome to break that with my daughter. So
parallel heavy.
Last question, and then we'll get on with it, is, the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament are over. A lot of upsets. OSU went down to Oral Roberts. Guys are getting death threats. Illinois goes down. Guys are getting racist comments. It's terrible. But who do you have cutting down the nets at the end of the year now? Vito, we'll go ahead with you. Who's cutting down the nets?
I started with Gonzaga. I'm going to stick with Gonzaga. That's my pick. I still have 3 of my 4 in the Final Four still alive. So listen, Michigan's still there, Alabama's still there. You still got some tough teams. But I'm going to stick with Gonzaga.
Charlie, who you got? Who's cutting down the nets?
Definitely a very homer answer. I was born in Syracuse, New York. I still got my grandparents live there. So do my aunt and uncle and all my cousins. So I'd love to see him do it. I mean, I was 4 when they won in 03. So I've seen a lot of runs, but I've never seen him be able to pull it off. So that would just be, it would be awesome. I don't know if they can do it, but you never know in March Madness.
Drew, who do you got who's cutting down the nets?
I got Gonzaga. I will say my Final Four is all still in it. I have Baylor over Loyola, and I've got Gonzaga over UCLA. And this is funny, I didn't see any upsets this year. I was like, there's not going to be many upsets because there's nobody in the stands to cheer on the underdogs. The underdogs, it's quiet. You could hear a pin drop type stuff. And that was horribly wrong. Death, taxes, and oral. Like, those are the only 3 things that's going on. Oral Roberts is insane. That kid, Asmus. But I just think Gonzaga is so good. They're playing with 5 stars and 4 stars, stuff they've never had before. The lineup's filled. They're just so good. They're going to crush teams.
Yeah, I thought Gonzaga was, just, they're always at the dance, but never the one to be asked to dance. They're always just right there, but never quite get there. And I thought maybe this would be the year. When we talked about this a couple shows ago, I said, COVID was going to be the winner again. And we saw that affect one game already. Hopefully it doesn't affect more. It kind of affected Virginia too, because they didn't get in till late, and then they lost to OU. Oh, yeah. Charlie knows what I'm talking about. But I had Michigan, so that's what I'm going with. And so that kind of wraps up our show. But at the end of each show, we declare one winner, and you get a minute of uninterrupted time to talk. So I've got 7 more seconds. But Drew, we're going with you for the winner today. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second, 1 minute to talk. Anything you want to talk about?
I really want to give you guys a thank you, Chris, you again, but especially everybody for giving me a chance to get the Little Herd New York sports scene out there. I know we're small dogs on the big stage, but to give me a chance to tell everybody how much I love my local teams and to really talk about the Mets and really just bring back some love to the New York teams. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity. This year is not going to be our year. But next year, that's what it's always been in New York. Next year, that's our year. We got football, we got basketball, and while I think we're going to go to the NLCS, we might not make it, but the Dodgers can't keep all that going for another year. Next year is our year. That's our year. And as a Mets fan, that's been the slogan for the last 20 years. I had season tickets for over a decade, and it was, this is our year. And it's always, we're going to get it. But I appreciate everybody giving me the chance to talk about New York sports, man. It's great. Thank you.
Awesome. So that wraps up our show for today. We're going to pull what we did last week and do the little encore where we'll play the end credits and stuff. And then we're just going to sit around here and kind of shoot the shit for like 5-10 minutes and interact with the comments. If you guys don't have like another device up, you can pull that up on an iPad or something else, be able to see the people making the comments and interact with people and see if anybody sticks around to watch. But if you're still watching, I appreciate you being here. We got a ton of comments. We were all the way up to like 20 viewers at one time, dropped off, went up, went down. But, we're 45 minutes into this thing. So if you're still here 45 minutes later, I truly want to thank you. Vito, always awesome showing you up. That's not what I want to say. Showing you here, joining my show. Charlie, very nice to meet you. Hopefully I can see you at that Akron show. We can actually, talk to each other in person, give you an elbow shake because, COVID or whatever. And Drew, thank you so much. I've interacted with you. I didn't really realize you were the Panini guy who sent me the cards, and now is Drew until right now. So, thank you for helping my kids, and just thank you guys for being on the show. I try to make it fun. I hope you guys had a good time. We'll play the outro, and then we'll get on with just some hangs real quick. All right, guys?
Sounds good. Yeah, as long as my baby's quiet, I'm good.
All right, we are still live, but I had a ton of fun. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, that was awesome, man. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you. That was awesome.
So, Drew,
it's funny when you mentioned Walker Buehler. I was like, "Am I the only guy not high on Walker Buehler this year?"
Yeah, man. Like that's kind of how I got my Bellinger thing. Is I started watching the Dodgers when I worked like late nights at work, and you know what's on at 11 o'clock at night, right. Dodgers games. Right. So I started watching the Dodgers, and I'm like, man, Walker Buehler is legit. So I started watching him, and it's kind of like, okay, Bellinger is freaking awesome. So that's kind of just how I started my Bellinger PC, was just working late nights and watching Walker Buehler pitch, because I was a former pitcher. I got Tommy John. You can see my scar right there. I played at Toledo for like 2 weeks and then couldn't do it anymore, and now I coach high school baseball, but yeah, I was a pitcher. I'm a pitching coach. Like I love like Trevor Bauer in his analytics. I hate his actually. You know what? I love to hate him because if you're the batter, you just want to hit home runs and bat flip your bat into the stands. But if he's on your team, you love the energy. It's so I can't decide. So
I don't know. I was not a fan of him, and I'm an Indians fan. I don't know, something about him. He's just Ever since the drone incident, that's just like the worst.
Oh, I mean that takes you out of a World Series.
That was so bad. That was what it turned from, the quirky, weird fun to like the what's going on here.
Yeah. I mean, the offseason kind of put me off. Like, I knew he wasn't coming back to the Reds, and every other day it's, oh, Twitter, what team should I go to? Let's make this video and get all these votes. And like, okay, first off, nobody's like, you're not going to a team you got voted for.
Right.
You're going to the team with the money, and you're probably going back to LA where you're from, the Angels or the Dodgers. Do you want to win a World Series? Because then you're going to the Dodgers, and they can afford you. So I don't know. Vito,
I love Bauer's. I love Bauer's presence online though. Like how he'll show you the analytics and stuff. How he's into it. How he's not afraid to be a little bit of a nerd.
Yeah,
I sort of love that about him.
If you watch his YouTube, him and Tim Anderson, I think they're friends because they go back and forth. He's like, oh, this is the time Tim Anderson got me, but these are the 6 times I got him. He's like, I got this video, why Mike Trout's the best hitter in baseball. He's like, see, he thinks I'm going to throw this ball, but then I throw this one, the one time I've ever struck him out. Now, he hit this ball and it hasn't landed yet, but, I made a good pitch here. He made a better swing, and this is why he's the best hitter. And, he'll give accolades when they're due, too. Like, if you ever read the story on ESPN, he's like, I grew up as a nerd. I wore baseball pants to school. I got beat up and stuff, but all I ever wanted to be was a baseball star. And I mean, it's a cool story.
Yeah.
I played pretty competitively growing up, and like we would do long toss, and we do it like 250, 300 feet,
Yeah.
And one of my friends is like, he's still in the league, and he's like, I did long toss with the pitchers. Like this is a few years ago, and he did it with Bauer. And Bauer was throwing long toss at like 400 feet. Like sitting there like, whoop, no problem, like 400 feet. Like
that's ridiculous.
It was insane.
I mean, and that's how you build up your arm strength, and you're supposed to do that on, bullpen days and stuff like that. But 400 feet, just like that. I mean, that's like Yasiel Puig and Yoenis Cespedes just picking the ball up and gunning the guy at home. Like that's that. Like Trevor Bauer can do that.
He's insane. Like, cause we would do 250, and like, after a while, like if you could get your arm out there, you could do 300. Go ahead and do it, and like you'd probably one hop it. Like the kids that do it. Like there's some. It's just like the difference between most people in high school could hit somebody who throws 85 to 88, but the second that ball jumps from 88 to 90, there's like one kid on the team that can hit it. Like that 2 mile per hour jump is huge. So that jump from 250 to 300 is huge. From 300 above it must be gigantic. That's the jump between like $10 and 10 million.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. I told you I coach high school baseball pitchers. That's what we do is long toss. And the kids like, why are we doing this? Like, if you can't throw it to them, one hop it, because that's the only way you're going to do it. Like, try to get to them. And then at the end, you're one hopping. Obviously you get sore, but not injured. But that's how, you're going to gain arm strength is the long toss.
Are you doing pitch counts with kids that age?
Absolutely. Yeah. High school, I actually really prefer doing the freshmen over the varsity because you get a bunch of kids who don't know anything and who don't talk back, who don't think they know everything, and who just want to learn. And I love that about them. So, yeah, we got them on a strict pitch count. And usually and we do it by degrees. If it's under 70 degrees, you got to have sleeves on. Only X amount of like curveballs if you're under 16. We have fastballs, changeups, depending on what you can throw. I mean, if it's, the end of the season, we're in the playoffs, it's like the 15th or 16th game. Yeah, we might let you get up to like 80 or 90, but generally it's like 50 to 70, depending how the game goes. But I know from personal experience, I had no pitch count, and that's why I had Tommy John. So, but at the varsity level, they let them go a lot further. But when you're 15, 16, we try to keep it low.
Yeah, it's still arm development at that point.
So Vito, you haven't said a word yet, man. What's going on with you?
No, I'm enjoying this. I've been through this, so I'm just enjoying listening to Drew and Charlie and always you, Chris, chatting. No, it's been a whirlwind week for me. For those who follow me on Twitter, I spent the last 2 months in Florida, just getting away from the cold here in New York. And normally when I'm home, I'm pretty smart about my purchasing. but as you don't see the mail coming, you don't think you're purchasing anything. And I came home to like an insane amount of mail. Like, and
if you don't follow Vito, go on his Twitter. He posted pictures. It's insane.
It's insane how much mail I had, and I still haven't touched any of my Series 1. I still have a half a case of jumbo left. I have 10 megas and 12 hangers that I didn't even touch yet. But I did hit, and I don't have it with me. I put it away already. I hit a Joey Bart 1 of 5 triple patch booklet auto from Inception out of the one box I bought off the Tops.com. I couldn't believe it. I opened that thing. I don't even know where to store it. It's so massive.
Do you have a local shop in Staten Island, or?
So it's interesting you say that. Right before I left, one opened. While I was away, a second one opened, and then as I got back, a third one opened. Literally in the last 3 months, 3 stores have opened, and they actually did a card show. They all were there at there's a hitting academy on I don't know how familiar you are with Staten Island, but Victory Boulevard has a hitting academy, and they went there and they had a card show on Saturday night. So it's starting to get big here on Staten Island, and they're all 2 of them are really close to me. The third one's a little bit of a drive, but I could pretty much get there in 5 minutes to the one close to me. So, and he's a huge Met guy too, huge Met guy. So yeah, and I befriended 2 LCSs while I was down in Florida. So I picked up some basketball. I picked up some premium stock hoops just because he had it. He gave me a good deal on it. But for the most part, I'm baseball only.
I can get hobby boxes, really only because for a year I kept going out to Long Island to this hobby shop and bringing this guy cannolis for his wife.
That's awesome.
He's like, I was in there one time buying a box of Heritage like 3 or 4 years ago. And he's like, yeah, my wife's from Brooklyn, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, I live in Brooklyn. I've been in Brooklyn for over a decade, And we start talking. So every time I went out to buy something, he would never give me the premium stuff, but he'd give me a box of Series 1 or whatever, or update or something like that. And every time I brought him cannolis. And then after like a year, he goes, do you want any Prism? And I'm like, Yep. So now, but it took me for a while of doping them up with cannolis to try to get the job done.
Yeah, that's awesome. I told a story once, and I have a friend that I grew up with. He worked at a card shop all during the 90s and 2000s while the rest of us were, going to school and stuff. And the owner had no family. And when she went out of business, she literally gave him everything, right? And so every once in a while, he'll call me, and he still has connections with some distributors. So he'll call me and say, hey, I'm getting some product. Do you want any? And I picked up some Bowman and things like that. But for the most part, he gets a handful of boxes still. And I went to his house to pick some stuff up. And he has literally a safe with cards that are anywhere from $25 to hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I said, what are you doing with these things? He says, I just collect. I build sets, and she gave me all these cards. I'm talking things. I said, do you want to sell them? I can make you some money. I'm not even asking for anything. I'll just help you out. And he doesn't want to move them. It's amazing.
And, Vito and I have talked about before is we both have wholesale accounts. I just kind of stopped because I got 0 allocations for so long that I was just like, I have so many other things going on right now. Like my daughter's 5, my son's going to be 2. I just started a new shift at work. I'm trying to get Gold Line cards just off the ground as a business. And so I should be pounding it when actually I'm going the opposite direction, but he puts in for cases and cases and gets 2 boxes. And, Eloy Goats Card Breaks, he puts in for cases and cases and gets 2 boxes. And they had a big thread where, Buck City Breaks got in it too. It was like, yeah, we're selling, we get, and Eloy will tell you get the Prism box for $200 that they're selling for $1,200. But you get 4 or 5 of those, and then you've got to buy the rest at what everybody else is paying. I'm not exactly sure how much I believe all that for some of the bigger names, or I'm pretty sure my LCS and brick and mortar stores are getting them for prices and marking them up. I mean, my local one, Triple Play here, they just tripled the size of their store in the last week. Card Collector 2, Ryan, if you guys follow him, he's in Grove City. He's a half an hour, 45 minutes away. That guy just built an empire in a year. That dude is busy.
He has his own shop.
Awesome.
it doesn't even matter anymore if you
Yeah.
have physical brick and mortar, even because the three stores that are open by me, I visited one of them before I left for Florida, and he said he can't even get product, and he has a physical brick and mortar store. And I said I actually got more Series 1 than he did.
My friend was talking to Panini, and he's like, "We're not even opening new accounts."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unfair for brick and mortar. I think brick and mortar should be able to get it. Hey, Chris, I have to tap.
All right, great. Thanks, Vito.
So, Vito, nice to meet you, man. I'll look forward
Nice to meet
to
you.
All right,
And
guys,
Drew
thanks,
and
man.
Charlie, I want to mention one thing before you guys jump off. I don't know if you were there when I did the Special Olympics fundraiser.
I was not.
Okay, so since you were talking about Panini, I had to say this because I need to make a thank you video after this. So I just did, my buddy Ian Sports Cards and I, his name's Che. We do just like more of a interview show. We get one guest on Monday. We go for about a half an hour. And I was raising money for the Ohio Special Olympics. Every year I do the polar bear plunge, jump in, ice water, raise some money. My goal is $1,000. I had like $500, a little over 500. And in the middle of our show, and well, I got to back up. I said, if I got $1,000 donations, I would get a hobby related tattoo. So like, okay, incentive to get my $1,000. Like you put something like that out there, the hobby's going to come through. During our show live, one of his coworkers has a son or a child, I'm not sure, a son who's in the Special Olympics. So he just looks down at your phone. He's like, "Hey man, you're there." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm right here." He goes, "No, look at your donations. Like you made it to 1,000." That coworker of his donated that money to get me to 1,000. An anonymous card shop owner said, "That's amazing. I'm going to match it." Buck City Break said, "That's amazing. Here's a bunch of money." Mikey B Card said, "That's amazing. Here's a bunch of money." Ended up with $3,600 and a raise.
Oh shit!
That's awesome.
And
That
I
is
also,
awesome.
since I got 3,600, the one I won, I got the 1988 Topps Future Stars. So I've got my kids' heartbeats tattooed on my ribs. So I got the Future Stars right under that. But they sent me these rated rookie masks and a box of Revolution and a box of plates and patches. And it was just in, this box comes. My wife's like, "What'd you order from Panini?" I'm like, "Nothing." I'm like, "Wait a minute. No, they didn't." I've seen them send some stuff to other people. Like they did not even do it. Open it up. And there's the note that says, you've got the Panini pick me up. We see what you're doing in the hobby. You're doing great things. Keep up the good work.
I saw that.
And I
That's
just start
awesome.
like getting emotional. Like, you never do things to get recognized, but it's nice when someone recognizes you. And so all these people like, "Oh, I'll buy this box." And I'm like, "How are you going to buy I can't sell the box."
Yeah.
So of course I rip that and I get, Brandon Ayuk out of 50. I don't know where the rest of my cards are, but I'm giving most of them away except for the Herbert I pulled and sending some of the Revolution basketball to PSA. But I just want to share that story with you guys
That's
because
awesome. That's one thing I've noticed. I mean, the card community is like the most generous. Like it's the most over generous community. Like so, I'm especially coming from the card community, the sneaker community. The sneaker community is so toxic and it's just such a competition of who can get more pairs on release day than the next guy. There's no camaraderie or generosity in the hobby at all. It's just, I mean, it depends who obviously, but as a whole, I'd say the card community is just
Such
super
better people.
Yeah.
Such better people. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I've said it since day one. I'm here for the relationships to build friendships. We got this little chat group that we have hashtag Cardboard Connection, and those have become some of my best friends that I've never met. I'm going to Orlando to Disney in September. My buddy Nick Lucchese lives down there, and I'm absolutely stoked to go meet him. Or my buddy Liddy Cards, Tyler, lives in Dayton. We're going to hit up Reds games. Or Kelly's Cards lives up in Detroit where, hey, let's meet in Cleveland, go to some Cleveland games. It's
Let me know.
People I've never met. Or Chuck P. Cards. I saw him at that. He just comes up to me at the Hilliard Card Show. He's like, "Hey man, I'm Chuck." I'm like, "I'm Chuck P. Cards." You meet some awesome people who actually become good friends that, my son's going through immunotherapy. I share these things with them that I don't share with like my real life friends. And
Yeah.
I don't know if it's I don't know you that well, so I can tell you because you care enough to talk to me, but you don't care enough to be like emotionally involved. I don't know, but like you guys said, it's all about the community. It's just
that's like,
amazing.
I mean, when I started off, I was like, grabbed a box of cards. I saw some value, some people posting about cards. I was like, oh. And then I saw Mike Ferg post a break, and I hopped in. It was a Mosaic. It was like 2 blaster boxes of Mosaic for like whatever, like $8 at the time for like a random 2 teams. I got the Grizzlies and the Pelicans, and I've just been hooked. Like, it was, I mean, I hit like a green John, like a silver Zion for $8, and it was like, so I mean, that was, and then I mean,
A green John, a silver Zion for $8.
yeah, or whatever it was. It was like less than 15. 'Cause, I mean, the blasters were only going for 20. They were going for like $30.
Yeah, I remember leaving them on the shelves. Like,
Yeah. I know it's but yeah, and then I mean, since then, I mean, I've gotten to know Mike really well and that whole community, the Investo Kings Discord, and yeah, it's like I can't wait for this show in Canton because these guys who I've been talking to virtually for the past 8 months, I'm actually gonna, it's gonna be so super weird because I'm gonna be like, oh, your name's blah blah blah, like calling them their Instagram names and their Discord names, like not even knowing what their real names are, but like.
Are you guys going to nationals?
Absolutely.
I don't know yet.
I would. We just I have a 2-month-old. It's not going to work out. She'll be 7 months or something at the time, but yeah, it's just not going to happen.
I used to live in Chicago, and so when I moved back to Ohio, my wife and I would go every 6 months, but we haven't gone since the kids were born. Now my daughter's 5, my son's 2. I think it's old enough to take like a family vacation, so we just planned our family vacation around then, so we can go to that and still enjoy. You guys are talking about the community, and Blake Jameson from Project 2020. The only Jesse Winker that's out there is this one. He literally said, because he traded my daughter makes art cards, and I'm going to send you guys some next week because that's what I do after the show. I send you a thank you card with some stuff, and it's cool. But then he's like, hey, he donated $300 to buy a Ben Baller bedazzled car my daughter made for the American Heart Association. We do a ton of stuff for charity. Then he starts talking to me and my daughter Claire about stuff, and they traded. He sent her this Jesse Winker. He's like, I had to go find a Jesse Winker because I didn't know who he is. If you're not a Reds fan, you have no idea who Jesse Winker is. So this is the only one he made. So you got a bunch of Eloy Jimenez and Juan Soto's that people wanted. And he said this is the only one he's going to make. So this is like a true one of one. And he's just traded with my kid. Like, how just amazing is that? He is one of the true, genuine people. And he interacts with all kinds of people on Twitter, on Instagram, all the time. Sign up for my mail days and I'll send you an NTF. He's just awesome. So.
Yeah, him and Tony Bianchi, I think, right? Like, they've gotten involved. Yeah. It's awesome, man.
And Matt Costello, who was with them for a while, he was our first guest on the show that Che and I do. So he got to talk about Project 2020 a lot too.
All I'm going to say is don't sleep on the golf this year.
Don't sleep on the golf.
Yeah, Charlie, who are the big names? Bryson and who else?
I mean, anyone who's came into the realm of golf since 2014, it's going to be their first card.
Like, so because it's their first card, does that make it their rookie card or their first card?
Technically, I mean, it's hard to call, Jordan Spieth the rookie card when he's
that's what
6 years later, but still, it'll still be. I mean, they've had cards in like Goodwin, whatever it is, the Goodwin Champions or whatever, but this is the first true golf set. That's 2014.
I know my daughter really dig the WNBA Prism, and so a lot of the cards are rookie cards, but a lot of cards are first year cards. So there's clearly the difference in you are a rookie in the league, and this is the first card made of you. So I still think it's cool that it's the first card. Might be more of a PC item, doesn't have that rookie card crest on it. So.
But I think they're coming out with I don't know if you guys collect hockey at all, but they do artifacts, and it's it's one of those numbered cards to whatever 1,200 to $9.99. I mean, I think it'll be a fun rip either way if you're into golf whatsoever. Just because you're gonna get a couple numbered cards, you're gonna get an autograph. You're going to get a memorabilia card. The memorabilia some of the cards are going to be hilarious because they're putting like sand in the cards.
Like
Like
a golf memorabilia card could be awesome.
Yeah.
Like a relic, a golf relic, like a flag.
Yeah, they're putting
This is a race used tire.
yeah, like stuff like that. It's like
Memorabilia cards are so damn cool, and this is $3. Like I looked, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I hit a hit. Like there's $3. Like this
Yeah.
is awesome.
like they're putting like the sand, like Tiger cards, like from when he won, like whatever. They got sand somehow from the course from when he won it, and it's going to be in the card somehow. Like just cool. I think it's going to be a cool set.
Awesome. So,
Plus, Tiger
yeah.
Autos will be in it, so that's the big chase, obviously.
So are Upper
All
Deck
right.
going to be flying off the shelves like everything else?
I don't know if they're doing retail yet. I haven't heard. I hope they do. I really hope. But either way, hobby, I mean, shouldn't be. I mean, relatively should be probably decently priced and accessible.
Well, if you guys need a good price, I'm sure I'll be able to help you out.
All right, Drew. We're looking for you.
Appreciate
all right,
it.
man.
I try to be the hobby Robin Hood on hobby boxes. But with that said, I gotta walk these dogs. So, bro, I had a great time, Chris. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I've already subscribed, so I'll watch the next one. But I look forward to it, man. I really appreciate it again. Thanks a lot, brother.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna jump off here too.
Yep.
It's been an hour, 6 minutes, 7 minutes past my daughter's bedtime. So, Charlie, Drew, thank you so much. You got anything you say? Want to
Appreciate
say,
it.
Charlie, before we go off?
No, not really. I really appreciate the opportunity, and the only thing I can say is just, I mean, it's great. You're doing great things with charity, and just keep being generous. I mean, that's what the hobby needs, and it goes a long way.
All right. Thank you guys so much for being on. Have a great night.
You too.